Now what? Science is steadily proving the existence of the spiritual realm. We talked about in quantum physics the other day. It's the same thing. They are steadily proving that there is something way beyond our natural worldview. Our physical, tangible touch up. There's something there, and it affects everything. It's the spiritual realm. Believers don't have any trouble. I read it reads like the Bible when I read their research. And yes, I'm skewed, and yes, I'm leaning that way, but I'm reading it. I'm not stupid. I'm reading it because it's accurate. When it comes to this right here, you're probably not going to hear this taught in a lot of places because it's extremely dangerous. For me to sit up here and tell you what I'm about to tell you. I gave you the groundwork, gave you the foundation of it, again, to make sure we got it. Now I'm going to give you the kind of the dynamite power behind it. The dangerous aspect of it is, as a believer, you are supposed to be wind to a degree. You're supposed to have a wind-like element to you. An element that is mysterious, unbelievable, dynamic, powerful. And it does a whole lot more than just serving on Sunday service. There's supposed to be in you something that I, as your leader, if you have me as that, cannot just tap into and mold and use in my image. It's something from God that has got to be used in His image. It's got to be used in His will and His plan. And even if I really, really, really want to use you in this vision here, I can, if you want me to, if God wants, that's awesome. But I've got to always know there's something in you that's way bigger than just what I'm doing. There's something in you that may be bigger than what anybody's ever done. We don't know. But I've got to honor that in you. And I've got to give you room to move in that, to fail in that. And that's scary as a leader. Y'all have kids, some of y'all know what it is. You see them growing up, you want to give them the freedom to go and do, but you also know they're dumb kids, man. They're going to do something stupid and get hurt. I've got at least 17 of them at the house. And you never know what they're going to do. They wanted to climb up on a picket fence the other day and look inside of something. I'm like, man, you're this big. Like, you can't climb up there. Oh, I can do it. I said, I know you can do it. That's not... No. We want to say no to everything, right? No. But we can't. Because then we just don't give them a chance to live. We're just bottling up their wind. We're bottling up who they are spiritually. We're saying you can't do that because I'm not comfortable with it. That's a real crappy line. If you're going to lead somebody that's supposed to be a dynamic, supernatural being. Because I'm not comfortable with lots of stuff. Just because I'm not comfortable doesn't mean it's not God. Now sometimes it's not God. But that's the risk. That's the scary part. Is because if I sit up here and empower y'all to just be woo, some of y'all will come back woo. It's not going to be a good thing. But I got to trust God that you and Him and me and whoever else, John, whoever else is in your life, can work it out. The other alternative is to keep my foot right there. Yep. Giving you just a little more leash at a time where you're choking at the bit trying to get away. And no, got to hold. That ain't God. I'm sorry. That ain't nothing like God. Yep. And we're not going to do that. We're just not. I was driving down the street with my daughter, Mariah. If you knew Mariah, you would just love her. There's nobody that knows that doesn't love her. She is beyond precious. She was 5 years old. We're driving through over there by Toby Street in Gonzales. So, you know, it's a real nice neighborhood and all that. That's where that dude's shocking people in that church. And there's a dude on the corner. He's a wino. I always tell winos, they're different. And he's standing on the corner just talking to himself like this. And my daughter says, pull over, roll down the window. Now she's 5. And I don't listen to any of my kids if they tell me what to do. Ever. Like, they tell me what to do. I'll be like, I think it's funny. I stopped. I turned her roll down the window. And I saw what she saw. And all she did was lean out the window in her little car booster seat and say, Jesus loves you. Click. That dude broke on the middle of that street. And I've seen a lot of homeless people break down and cry and get sympathy. I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about that at all. That dude broke down, wailing and crying, confessing sins to my 5-year-old. For Christmas that year, she made care packages for homeless people. She took her Christmas money and made care packages. Now she's 5. You think I want her ministering to homeless people? If I had my choice, it would not be homeless people that my 5-year-old beautiful daughter would be ministering to. But it's not my choice. That's God's choice in her life. I can't bottle that up and bury it in the back of some stupid slave. I've got to free that open. And that's so scary. That's so scary. But let her see a homeless person. And we will stop and give them a care package. Because that's her. I was in New Orleans. Believers, pray for protection while I tell the story. I was in New Orleans doing a mission trip, which is kind of sounds funny because it's so close to us, but it was a big group of people. There was a few hundred of us. And 99% of us were prayer walking the streets. We were in the French Quarter. We were in Jackson Square. We were on Bourbon. It was like around September, so it was hot. And there were still a lot of people there. It wasn't a busy season like Mardi Gras, but it was pretty busy. And we were walking the streets praying. And then 1% of us would do ministry. Because you don't go into a place like New Orleans and just set up shop and start thinking you can minister to somebody. You got a whole lot of junk you got to get through. Because you can't even start to get to where things start to click until you can spiritually start aligning that environment where you can do something. I'm trying to think of which story to tell, which one the Lord wants me to tell. There's a lot of them from that time. There was a girl who was possessed by a demon. If you don't believe in that, that's okay. It's in the Bible. I'm sure you don't believe in lots of stuff in there. Sometimes I don't either. We should though. So she walks up behind me. She is a Satanist. She was in a Satanist group. The leader of the group was named Spiker, of all things. He was not very impressive. And literally, that's a 15-year-old girl. She walked up and started talking behind me. And I was like, I might have pulled an Exorcist trying to get my neck back there. That little girl, that was not her voice. I promise you it wasn't. It was unbelievably ancient is the best word for it. And I said, what? Now I'm ministering to a gay couple, me and this other girl, about, homosexuality. And this one dude who was raised Roman Catholic, so he knew everything about God. And the other dude had never heard anything about God. And so one of them said there the whole time going, the other dude said they're going, because he'd never heard anything about the love of God or the goodness of God. He's gay. All Christians do is tell him he's an abomination. He's going to hell. That's all we're going to tell him, right? We can leave that alone. So I turn around, and this little girl, and I'd seen her a few times because they were trying to harp on us a bunch. Her face contorted in a way that I've never seen a human face contort. It was unbelievable. It was something out of a horror movie. You think they come up with that stuff on their own? Which is what scares me about modern horror movies, because like if you go back and watch Exorcist, that was stupid. Vomited everywhere. Demons don't do that, by the way. I mean, I've never seen a demon vomit. Whatever. But we were scared by it because it was new. And then we went for years, it was just slasher movies and killers, and that stuff mostly was just stupid. Some of it was even kind of funny. Now they're making movies literally off of demonic situations. And everybody's like, ooh, good, we'll go watch that. Ooh, bad, no, don't go watch that. Because that same little 5-year-old girl can tell when those commercials come on in the house if she's not in the room or looking at the TV. There's something there. It's not the right kind of wind, but it's a wind nonetheless. So I'm praying kind of like this, like praying backwards and ministering to this couple in front of me. And I'm not doing much of the ministry. The girl was doing most of the ministry, which was good. Because she was really ministering to that. She was a little more bold than I was. I wasn't into like, hey man, you're gay. Quit being gay. I mean, I didn't know what to say. I'd just been saved like 15 minutes. I didn't know nothing. So she was doing great. I was like, okay. And I was praying like this. I kind of just pushing my hand backwards. They were pretty 10 feet behind me, maybe 8 feet. And I can bring you to the spot. It was right there in Jackson Square, right next to the tarot card readers and everybody else. We put out a table with a black tablecloth that said, we'll tell your future for free. Heaven or hell, which one you want? See, some of y'all ain't comfortable with that either, are you? I don't care if you're not comfortable with it. That's the win, and it worked. And nothing wrong with putting up a black tablecloth and saying, we'll tell your future. We did it. The Bible tells our future all the time. Just because people use it for the wrong thing don't mean we can't use it for the right thing. All of a sudden, click. I look back and that little girl, I did not recognize her except that she had on such extremely ridiculous clothing. I say ridiculous, that's not right. It was stupid clothing. She had on like black trenched out everywhere. Everything was metal. Everything was meant to be hard, broken, angry, destructive, antisocial. I'm not necessarily against antisocial, but that wasn't good. She was way out on the hairy edge. I mean, she was a Satanist. She was literally worshiping Satan. This is, it's kind of where people go sometimes. I did not know who she was. She looked nothing like she did before. Believers, keep praying. I gave her my pocket Bible, which was very important to me. It was a gift from a friend. It meant a lot. And literally instantly, up shows Spider. We had to take her and whisk her away to like a covenant house in the middle of New Orleans where she could be guarded and protected. These people broke into the home we had her in, stole her out, and gave the Bible back to one of our people and said, she don't need this. It got back to me. I had that Bible for years. It had literally been in the hands of Satanists in the middle of some of the nastiest spiritual climates in this country. And it got back to me. Later that trip, we were walking through, and right in the same corner in Jackson Square, maybe that spot was hot, I don't know. There was this old, withered-looking dude. You know how they are down there. And he was sitting on the corner, and we were all going together, this big group of us, and he called out one of the ladies and started saying all these things about her. He was reading her mail is what he was doing. He was tearing her open. And he did it for about 5 seconds, and I just leaned down, and I said, you've had your turn. Click. I was a baby Christian, didn't know the first thing about nothing. But I knew what I was supposed to do in that moment. And as soon as I said it, that dude he went, hi. That's exactly what he did. He was going to 90 miles an hour and just click. I'm telling you these stories for a reason, guys. My favorite one is Africa. We get to Africa, Ethiopia, East Africa. We're in a remote village. People are walking for days to get to us. We saved 24 starving infants that week. 24 infants. You couldn't give them food, it would kill them. Babies. A year and a half old, 8 pounds. Every one of my kids was born that way. Born to about a year and a half. I got a gigantic, fat 4-month-old who weighs almost 20 pounds at the house now. Now he needs like Slim Fast or something, but still, he's not 8 pounds. And the mother looks at you and says, "What are you going to do?" You know, so you're broken. When you're broken, the spirit, that wind tends to be a little more interesting. We pay more attention to it anyway. And so they asked me to preach. Now I was just doing security. I was just doing facilitating any way I could. I was just happy to be there. Cool. So they asked me to preach. I said, okay. So the first day we got there, and kind of let me back up a little bit, telling my story poorly. There was a guy whose wife had died 9 days before that. They'd been married almost 30 years. And he was still there. Because he said he was coming. He was a fellow African. He wasn't from America. He wasn't from Europe. A lot of people were. From different parts of Africa, different parts of Europe, and all over the world, really. This dude was from Nigeria, if I remember correctly. So he had to get on a plane and fly to Ethiopia, which is totally across the continent, and be there 9 days after he put his wife in the ground. And he was just, you could see it on his face, he was just broken. And somebody mentioned it and asked for prayer for him. And we got all kinds of pictures of it. I just broke. I couldn't take it. Like I went and grabbed him and hugged him, and he just dissolved in my arms. Now, I didn't know this man from Adam. I don't even know his name. I never learned it. But him just being there, it did something inside of me. I couldn't believe he was there. When they asked me to preach, he was standing there. He was a photographer. And I walked up to, they asked me to preach, and I didn't preach a sermon. I walked up to him, I put my arm around his shoulder, and I pulled him away from the side, and I said, this man's here. His wife's body ain't cold, and he's here. Because Jesus loves y'all. Click. The whole tent fell apart. Because I gave some powerful word? No, not at all. Quite the contrary. But because the reason those people are there is for medical attention, they're for help, and they're wondering why we're there. See, that's the thing. Anytime you do work with them, they're always wondering, why are you here? What's your angle? Same thing you guys wonder about me. What's your angle? Jesus loves you, so I'm here. in the face of my own personal tragedy, in the face of my own personal loss, in the face of my own destruction, in the face of not having any money, in the face of whatever. I'm here because Jesus loves you, and I've come to bear witness to that truth. Not to fix you, not to necessarily defend or rebuke you, but to bear a witness to the truth of God's love.
Amen.
And a whole bunch of African people. So Ethiopian people are sweetest human beings that you ever met in your life. Broke. In that moment, that little click came through strong. My son, Jax, has a tendency of telling women they're beautiful. But he only does it when the Spirit leads him. You believe what you want. Because every time he does it, click. Every time he does it, doesn't matter who it is, the age, race, gender, every time. He says, you're beautiful, just like that. It's like a little 6-year-old boy would. And you see women just break. Guys, I got 100 stories I can sit here and tell you. About 100 times when there was nothing left to do but follow the Spirit of God. That's all you had left. Was the wind, the breath of God. My challenge to you is not to just study the Bible. It's not to just discover who God is in text or who He is even in testimony, but for you to realize the Word says He's hidden eternally in the hearts of men. That we're made in His image. That there is something completely and unbelievably supernatural in you. And that's really who you are. Remember we did the mind, soul, and body thing? Remember we did that? Or, I'm sorry, body, soul, and flesh. What do we do? Spirit, soul, and flesh. I know what it is. You know. We did spirit, soul, and flesh. You're the Spirit. You got to quit identifying yourself with your sin and your flesh. Yeah, you got to deal with those things, and yes, those consequences suck. But that's not who you are. And as long as you're willing to identify yourself with that, you can never tap into who you are. Because true believers will worship in spirit and in truth. Those who are born again will be born of the Spirit. They're not born again of worship. They're not, as much as I love worship. They're not born again of sermons as much as I love sermons. They're not born again of really pretty buildings out in the burbs or in the hood or in a prison or in a jail. They call it a prison. It drives me crazy. It's a jail. Don't matter where it's at. This ain't what does it right here. This ain't the Spirit of God. This is not the Spirit of God. This is not the end game. If this is all you do, I'm sorry, but you are a stupid slave in the back burying your talent that God gave you. This is not where it ends. And for me to come up here and to make you think that your entire spiritual life should be encompassed in what we can do on this altar, which is really just a stage at that point anyway, then what have I done but deceive you? Your life, everything about you, is so much bigger than that. Your body's the filter you live on this planet through. It's not who you are. The last example I have is a man named Derek Lindsay, who could not be here today. There's actually 3 people I invited today. One of them just had a heart, a pacemaker put in. The other one is in Houston for cancer treatment. And the third one had a previous obligation he could not get free of the trial. We went to prison ministry. First time I'd ever been in a prison. I've been in a jail before up at the airport, but never really done any prison ministry. First time I went, this was several years ago now. And everything was wrong, just like typical prison. Everything was wrong. The timing was wrong, the schedule was wrong. It took forever to get us in. It brought us into the wrong place. They didn't know where we were supposed to be. Everything was jacked up. We showed up like 45 minutes late for a 30-minute time slot. I mean, it was nonsense. We get there, they let the man of God I was with at the time preach. Real good sermon. I mean, really good. And the guy who was like the head volunteer walks up to us. His name's Derek Lindsay. I'm going to tell you right now, I'd walk on glass for Derek Lindsay. He ain't no great preacher. He ain't no great evangelist. He plays music a little bit and can teach a little bit. And I really, really, really love him. He walks up and started talking to us about volunteering or working with the church or something like that inside the prison. And this dude was on fire. I said, how long have you been doing this? He said, 14 years. I said, 14 years? For free? He said, no, I don't get paid. So you've been coming here